also to give an opportunity for other non-members to join the organization.
Right.
I hope we can have a fruitful and an enjoyable program this morning. So I will also the president of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport express his gratitude for all of you who have taken the time to be present this morning again. So I pass the program to our moderator, Dr. Dazmin.
Thank you, Commander Sharil. First of all, welcome to the first webinar of CLT Malaysia. So, here we have three main panelists, vast experience in logistics and also supply chain management. So let me introduce the panel to the audience here. The first panel is Datuk Muhammad Rani Hisham Samsudin. He's a Chief Executive Officer of KTMB. Morning, Datuk. Assalamualaikum.
Morning. Assalamualaikum to you and to everybody.
This is the second time for Datuk as the CEO of KTMB. He held the post from 2017 to 2019 earlier. Formerly, he was the CEO of the Container National Berhad, and he has over 23 years of experience in transport and logistics. Our second panel is Captain Rajesh Segar Mulyani. Morning, Captain.
Morning.
Yeah. Currently, he is the Vice President of Group Health and Safety, Security and Environment, MIC Berhad. He is responsible for the management of the health, safety, security and environment matters of the MIC Group. He said that he is a board member of various subsidiaries within the MIC Group and the Director Society of International Gas Tanker and Terminal Operators Limited. Our third panel is Datuk Gopal Krishnan Reddy. Morning, Datuk.
Morning.
He is currently CEO, Chief Executive Officer, Atlantic Group of Companies. During this period, he also gained knowledge in management control, supervision skills, and other operational procedures. He is a senior logistician certified by the Society of Logisticians Malaysia. He was the president of PKSAA CRSA for 6 years. So without further delay, let us talk about our first question. I throw this question first to Dr. Muhammad Rani. Yeah?
Yes.
What are the key obstacles that logistic professionals currently face in ensuring timely and efficient delivery of goods across the supply chain? What is your view, Dato'?
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I think the question is very broad. And let me try to bring everybody to few very specific issues or issues in hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's going to be the mantra for any logistic that has to be timely, has to be punctual, and also has to be cost efficient. Yeah. So everybody wants to pay very minimal for and expected the best to be service, means best of service to be delivered to all the customers. But importantly, in any logistics, we are talking about very fragmented logistic. Everybody talking about shipping, everybody talking about freight forwarding, custom clearance, everybody talking about transportation, warehousing. So everybody has their hands on each individual sector of logistics. Yeah? But what very important to the customers or to the users is the total logistics, which is i.e. supply chain. Yeah, because everybody claim that they are doing logistics, everybody claim that they are doing total logistics, but what they have is only probably 1 unit of lorry. Probably they have is only 1,000 square feet of warehouse, etc., etc. But what is important to have a very timely, punctual, and cost-efficient logistic or supply chain is the entire logistics. Yeah? So what it means that nobody can work on their own to actually provide total logistic or supply chain. Everybody needs other parties. Okay? Everybody needs other service provider to work together. And at the end of the day, as far as customers concerned or users concerned, is one single rate or one single service from door to door or from their factory to their client's factory. Yeah? So the biggest challenge to answer you, the biggest challenge in logistics supply chain is to give that solution to the customers. Yeah, so that's very important. So that's the reason why today, if we are looking at logistics, yeah, we are no longer first-party logistics service provider, two-party logistics service provider, or third. Even now they have 6, 7. If you look into that, yeah? And up to providing the financing part of it, or even now, if you're looking into logistics, the logistic provider own the goods, or they pay the good on behalf of the customers. And once they deliver, they get the money paid, not only on the logistic or supply chain services, but the cost of the goods as well. So now the biggest challenge is how to get all this together, how to get all this talk to each other, how to get all this together in one system so that the customers or the user has the visibility, how the customer has or benefits the most for having the visibility, having the best cost, best efficient service, and of course to answer that, to have a timely and punctual delivery time, and so on and so forth. So I think back to that, the biggest challenge is how to put it together and goes to the customer and user and give them the best solution on logistics and supply chain.
Okay, thank you, Dato'. Yeah, talking about these, what we call here to bring together all these logisticians together, I would like to have the view from Dato' Gopal, okay, about these challenges and what is the difficulties to bring together all the logistic and also supply chain party members together to work in one system, as mentioned by Dato' earlier.
Thank you. Thank you. The most important thing to get all the logistic players together is meeting the demands of online shoppers, including the fast delivery time. I mean, the most important thing is the rapid growth of e-commerce has significantly impacted the logistic industries. So therefore, the logistic industry required skilled professionals who can manage complex supply chain management effectively. However, there may be short of skilled labor in certain areas, which usually is because of high layoffs and the current era of hoping jobs often, which can impact the industry's efficiency. So, well, the most important thing, we have to get all the logisticians together and rectify the matters and make them move forward. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dato'. Now, based on the what we call here pertaining to the safety issues, what will be in terms of the relationship between the safety issues with these to bring together the entire logistic, the system? I would like to hear the view from Captain Rajasekhar Mulyani from the perspective of safety and health, that to bring all the players together, can we compromise the issues, for example, the safety issues, for example?
Before I answer that, I just want to add on another point to what Dato' Rani was mentioning just now. Logistic industry, I think you gentlemen know this better than I do, because I'm one part of the supply chain. But there is something that comes to my mind, which maybe one of the other panelists can also answer. Something that struck me, common platform. Because for you to do integrated logistics seamlessly, you need to have a common platform among all the players. So that is one area which I think, I'm not sure whether there is, but if there is not, then maybe the industry players should look at something common to everybody. Second thing here is, I want to quote something for you. To have a common platform, you need to have a system, right? The Internet of Things, which is also one of the things that we are supposed to talk about. Key concern today, two areas, okay? For logistics industry, the entire value chain, we're all being imposed with new regulations and new requirements. Now, these new regulations and requirements come under the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and they talk about ESG. In the logistic industry, is ESG a common thing that is being adopted? The S there stands for the social leg. Social leg, which is what Dr. Dasmin was asking me about, it also involves health and security. The passport for you to do business and for you to also survive, because it's linked to many other factors in it. So how important is this? Very important. Employee health, workers' health, safety and security in the supply chain. And when I say security, I'm also talking about physical security as well as cyber security, which ties back again to your common platform. So importance, very important. It is basically your license to do business. And this judgment is not from industry players. It comes from outside the banking industry, the finance industry. You talk about funding your business. It has to tie in. And today banks are looking very, very deeply into ESG compliance, and they make it as a condition for loans. MISC has got a lot of experience in this area, where they're also asking us now, okay, you want to build new ships, fine. Tell us how you meet the ESG requirements that the world has set on you.
See, all right. Thank you, Captain. Now, we move to the second question, again related to IT or IoT and also AI. I throw this question again to Captain Raja, pertaining to differences, let's say, between Malaysia and could be that other developing country which have very low in terms of the ESG. So how does MISC challenge these issues?
Okay. One of the portfolios under my area of responsibility is also information security. Okay, the Chief Information Security Officer of MISC basically sits in my team. I just want to quote something from Lloyd's List that came out in February. They say the maritime industry or the logistics industry is undergoing digital transformation, embracing technologies like automation, IoT, and data analytics. This also introduces cybersecurity risk, and hackers target vulnerable systems. Again, common platform, logistics industry is so integrated. You get a failure on one area, it'll practically affect everything, including things like port operations and things that you need to do. Locally, Malaysia lah. Tapi when you look at the global industry, people like Maersk, they are investing a lot of money in these areas. Why? Because I'm sure many of you are familiar. Maersk recently underwent a cyber attack, and it pretty much crippled their operations. So Malaysian players, from what I can see so far, you're not very good in the take-up. When we talk about IoT, not very good. But when we talk about cybersecurity risk and mitigation, I mean, you get people like Maersk, Port of Los Angeles, MSC, the Mediterranean Shipping Company, CMA, CGM, all going quite heavily into investing in these areas. So maybe this is something that the logistics industry itself in Malaysia should look at. How much investment do you want to put in? How secure are you protecting your value chain in terms of this? Because the computers today, IoT is pretty much the backbone in which you all operate. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Raja. Now, about your operation, Dato' Gopal, is it now the current challenge pertaining to the IoT? What's your view about this as a private sector?
The current logistic operation or challenges of logistics or supply chain management is changing to Internet of Things, IoT. Okay, there are three things which I think we should look at it. The blockchain. Okay, first and foremost, we must look at enhancing the transparency and traceability. Blockchain can provide a secure and decentralized platform for recording and transaction. Number two is reducing paperwork and streamlining processes. Okay, blockchain can also reduce paperwork. Number three is the real-time tracking and monitoring. These are things which we have to look at. IoT devices such as sensors and RFID tags can be used as to track and monitor the movement of goods or containers. Okay. Artificial intelligence. Okay, we are looking at artificial intelligence, supply chain optimization. Okay, AI can be used to analyze data from various sources in the supply chain, including inventory levels, production schedules, and these are one of my daily jobs or core business which we are doing now. The most important is we need to prepare a demanding forecast. AI can also use to predict and avoid overstocking. Okay, quality control. AI can also be used to monitor production processes, container processes, identify defects. All this can be done with all this artificial intelligence. These are the daily things which we are doing now, which may be interest to all the logisticians who are now listening to all our briefing. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dato'. Now, for the KTMB, is it as a high priority, okay, to invest pertaining to this technology in terms of the blockchain, IoT, and AI? I mean, for the freight operation and also for the passenger operation from the perspective of KTMB. So, Dato' Muhammad, yeah.
Yes, Doctor. Obviously, yeah, we are heading to that. Obviously, on digitalization. I want to echo what Captain and Dato' mentioned just now. Yes, in order to do all those things, there must be system. There must be one single platform that can integrate all the different systems within different sectors or within the service provider. You know? So without one single system, users going to have tough time to access into individual sectors or system. Yeah? So importantly, number one is integrated system. And when it comes to security, beside the hardware security, all those services, all those system, what is important is to track and trace the goods, be it the security of the goods itself or the safety and security of the service. That's very important. So obviously IoT or AI comes to picture. So this can be actually with the current advancement, the current technology, it can be anytime connected to that platform. Yeah, that's very important. Be it a dangerous good, be it a perishable, be it sensitive, time-sensitive goods whatsoever. All this with the IoT, with the sensors, with all the gadget, obviously can be connected to that system, so the end user or the customer can have real visibility on time of what's going on. Yeah? The condition of the goods, for example, I give you just one good example. Maybe something like, well, if you ship plasma or perishable goods, you put something, the sensor on the humidity, the sensor on the temperature, all this can be tracked anytime that we want to track on, and can be connected to the system. Then we can have a look whether, right from point A along the process up to the last point of delivery, we can actually track what is the temperature, of the perishable good, or even the goods itself, or the condition of the containers. So all this actually can be done. And for KTMB, even on our train, we actually tracking not only the location, but we are actually tracking right now the vibration of the wagons. Where the wagon, vibrates beyond the vibration that is allowed by the product or by the user. In fact, all these things is ongoing, and then we are going to the next step into, as I mentioned just now, the temperature of the containers, and the humidity, and so on and so forth. So obviously, Doctor, as the technology become better, as the system is in place, I think all these things are going to bring more benefits to the logistic and supply chain industry. So, but what important is actually the platform must be there. There must be a single party that can actually integrate all the systems in place, because everybody is going to have their own system. So one single system is what actually the customers or the user is looking at. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, we go to another question, but it's related to IT, and also it's about the increasing customer expectation. So I would like to ask this question to Dr. Rani, okay, related to the rail operation. Nowadays, we can see that, okay, a lot of new companies with the young people, with the new generation, they are focusing more on the IT. So is it in future is going to have a new challenge to obtain customer expectation for this new group of company, new group of people with just IT in hand?
Okay, this is very broad question
Yeah,
actually. But anyway, for us, we break it into two portions actually. We carry cargo. That's the subject we are talking today so far. And we carry passenger as well. So we have two types of customer, which is cargo and passengers. Yeah, and passengers is actually B2C, whether we like it or not. If we carry 100,000 passengers a day, that's our customers, and we're going to the expectation very high. Each of them has different expectation, and each of them can actually make comments or giving inputs on the service level. The same goes with cargo, of which cargo is B2B. Yeah, we're dealing with the customers. Yeah, so it doesn't matter we carry 1,000 containers or 100 containers. We have one single customer. Yeah, so we have to break it into two different what do you call it, categories of customers. Yeah, and their expectation is different. Yeah, that's very important to understand this. Yeah? So on cargos, it's easier to deal with basically because we are dealing with the companies, and the companies comes with all the expectation. Yeah? And somehow or the other, later on probably is contracted. Yeah, the service level agreement, everything is there. Yeah? Yeah. So for the public is another thing. Yeah, because public expectation is different. Yeah? Passengers expectation is different. Everybody has different requirements and different expectation. Yeah? So coming back to your question, how does the system or IT technology can assist this? Yeah? So today, if there's anything wrong with the train, yeah, for example, if the train is delayed in Go Musang, probably it appears in the newspaper in 1 week time. Yeah, probably he won't appear at all. Why is delay or why there's something wrong with the train. But now, yeah, if the train don't move for 10 minutes or 15 minutes in Go Musang or in Kuala Krai in the middle of the night, because we have few trains running at 3-4 o'clock in the morning, I'll be receiving those WhatsApp or phone call why the train is not moving. Okay? Or wish, most of my people doesn't know why there's a breakdown whatsoever, because we have what do you call it, manuals to follow, to check and to repair whatsoever before it comes to me. So this is the not the issue is good, of which we put the public put the service provider on their toe all the time. Yeah. So what it means that we have to be efficient, we have to improve our service all the time, regardless. Yeah. And same with cargo right now. Cargo, all the wish lists, all the requirements is spelled out upfront. Yeah. And on top of the service agreement, there's always KPI. And on top of that, there's a monitoring, tracking, and tracing. At any moment of time, customers knows what's going on. They can know whether it's their fault, our fault, or the authority's fault, so on and so forth. So this is something that we cannot have. Yeah? Because with the advancement of technology, with the system that we have, with all the technology that we have, then everything is visible. Everything is transparent. Everything can be tracked and traced. And on top of that, it provide audit trail. Yeah, yeah. So, and worst case, when things are attached to the, which you mentioned by Dato and Captain just now, all the sensors, the cameras, the CCTV, everything can be attached to the system. Yeah. So this is the situation right now, of which the service provider basically has to improve their service. Yeah. And to back up and put everything in place, including the system and the technology on top of that. Yeah? And with this, Dr. I want to touch this. This also actually welcome, or we inviting service provider that actually the 6 or 7 7P logistic provider, 7PL, because these are the people who doesn't own the asset. These are the people who doesn't own a lorry or even a single lorry or vehicle. These are the people who's good in technology. These are the people who's going to provide the system and provide the platform and integrating all the system in place and putting the technology in place. So these are the development or the move, the move of what's going on in the logistic and supply chain industry. And we can see, probably some of us are in shock when we know he is the best service provider, but they're very asset-like, or they don't even have any asset. So this is the thing that that we are looking at in KTMB as well, how to address all these things so that at the end of the day is for the benefits of the customer. At the end of the day, to meet the expectation of the customer, both cargo and passengers.
Just to add on to Dato' Rani, we all know that the e-commerce is on the rise. We should look at few things on the reverse logistics. With the rise of the e-commerce, we should look at implementing technology. Logistics can use technology to manage multiple distributions. Okay, number two is we should look at optimizing the inventory management. Okay, logistics can optimize inventory management by implementing practices such as demand forecasting. Okay, number three, efficient order fulfillment. Logistics can implement efficient order fulfillment process. Okay, and the number four is the most important, reverse logistics. Logistics can implement reverse logistic process. Okay, collaboration with retailers. Logistics can also collaborate with retailers. Flexibility and agility. Logistics can be flexible and to handle the complexity of that particular business. By adopting all these strategies, logistics or supply chain can adopt to handle the complexity of e-commerce and deliver the product efficiently and effectively to the end users. Just to add on to what Dato' Rani has said. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dato', for the additional input. So let me ask Dato' Gopal, from the perspective of maritime and also for the land for the road transport. Okay, how when we compare to KTMB pertaining to the increasing customer expectations, is there any differences or any similarities from your point of view?
Well, road transport, we are talking about delivery network, logistic deliveries network by strategically distributing centers. Most important thing is we have a lot of haulage companies, 200 over haulage companies who are providing haulage services. But that's not enough, because they are not able to provide as per the requirement of the customers. So therefore, the government should look into it and give more licenses, open the policies. I think they have opened the policies for haulage. They have to open the policies and give more licenses so that efficient delivery can be made to each and every customer at the right time. Because currently, when we request a container to a certain customer, okay, some of the haulage companies are not able to fulfill the requirement date and time. So therefore, there will be delays at the customer's place, the shipper's premises, consignee premises. There will be some delays. So all these has to be overcome by the government and also the industry. Okay, these you must have. You must offer customers flexible delivery time slots that can help the last mile delivery process. You see, now some of the customers look at just-in-time business, just-in-time loading, just-in-time unloading. So all these has to be looked at it, and the logistic providers can consolidate all these deliveries within the specific areas or time period, reducing the number of trips and increasing the delivery density. These are the issues which we are facing with the road haulage. Thank you.
Thank you, Dato'. Now, for MISC, I want to ask Captain Raja. Yeah? Okay. is it a customer expectation, okay, as a part of the value where the customer, okay, evaluate the performance of MIC? What is the trend now from the perspective of safety? You need to unmute. Oh, yeah.
Right. Now, Doctor, it's not only safety. That's the key today in shipping. And you got to understand, MIC is a B2B. We service other businesses. And then the expectation is more on what I was mentioning earlier about the Sustainable Development Goals from the UN. And they are looking at it total picture. Because you're B2B, you're expected to behave responsibly. And responsible behavior means all these things that the SDG talks about: health and safety, workers, people that we deal with, the supply chain. And the focus is not only just supply chain now. They even look at and say, okay, your supply chain provider is now engaged in business, but they don't practice very good safety principles. So then the question comes back to MIC, why do you do business with them? And believe me, this is, today we are facing it. Going forward, as the world starts looking more into these SDGs, and even Malaysian government is talking about it, they're going to go down to your suppliers and your value chain as well. So do you do business with people who are responsible? They have good governance, they have good ethics. Do they treat their employees fairly? MIC may be treating our employees fairly, but if we do business with somebody who exploits, say, child labor, that will also be coming against MIC. Similarly, with all the other industries that are in the value chain. So focus, it's coming. And that's going to be one of the major disruptors for the business.
Right. Yeah, I think Captain also has touched pertaining to the risks and disruptions to logistic operations for the MIC. In future, okay, what about how to mitigate, okay, these two impacts from your point of view, Captain, to mitigate it?
Let me just talk about disruptors first, yeah?
Yes,
firstly, environmental regulations, they talk about sustainability, energy efficient fuels that we use in our ships, supply chain practices that we engage in, social responsibility, labor conditions, governance and transparency. These are the key pillars of ESG. So we are really making a lot of effort in our business to comply as much as possible with all this. And it's a long journey. Our sustainability journey just until 2025 has already been mapped out. Now we are looking at beyond 2025 to 2030. Our ships burn fuel, right? So one of the key things that they're looking at is environmental regulations, alternative fuels, which we are right now developing together with some partners on ships that run not on fuel oil as we know it. We're looking at ammonia fuel engines, which are very, very efficient and also zero carbon. So, but again, small players, the problem for small players is funds, investment. And it's a cycle. If you don't do proper ESG practices, investment is going to be affected, funds is going to be affected. You may have to pay more for your loans. So the journey is not going to be short. These are the disruptors facing the industry. And you know, one key part of the industry is your marine transport chain, part of the value chain, right? And if you don't follow, our competitors are following. People like NYK, people like MERS, they are really going into this, and we might find ourselves being cut out from the entire thing, from the business. So we have no choice but to comply, and this will now transmit further down to the value chain to all the other industry players as well. Thank you.
Captain. Yeah. Continue, Dato'.
Okay, just add on what Captain Raju Sikit says. This is more on the sea view he has given. But the environmental challenges by the logistic and supply chain management, we have to look at few things. We have to look at green warehousing, okay? Incorporating the energy efficient technology. This is very important now. which has been now doing, and packaging optimization. Okay, use eco-friendly materials. Okay, and as mentioned earlier about the reverse logistics, effective reverse logistics is very key important at this point in time. Collaboration and information sharing, that's very important. And also, last but not least, encouraging among supply chain partners, okay, with the government support and regulation. Government support and regulation is very, very equally important. This will need the encouraging policy makers to introduce incentives. These are important for the supply chain management at this point in time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gopal. So I like the term of the supply chain partners. So with this term, I'd like to throw this question pertaining to a risk, okay, for KTMB, okay, Dr. Mohammad Rani. Because in future, is it road transport, okay, will have more demand compared to rail transport in terms of freight? Is it a future risk for the KTMB pertaining to the disruption in your logistic operation for the rail transport? What do you think, Dato'?
Yeah. Yep. Basically, between the road transport and rail transport, we need to complement each other. You know, that's very important. Yeah? And some of the other, when you're talking about rail transport, we are not like road haulage. They can go anywhere and go through any route, and they can go to any destination. Yeah? So we are actually dictated by the track. You know? So where we only move where the track is. Yeah? So what is important is that we need the first milers or the last milers. Yeah? We need the first mile and last mile. That's very important to actually put the total logistic in place, whether it's cargo or passengers. So without the first mile and last mile, we can't provide actually end-to-end services to the customer. So this is the partnership that we are talking about. And coming back to your question, whether there's a risk on our side, as I say, it has to complement each other. So we have to look into the requirements by the customers, the users, whether, you know, by road is more efficient to them, or by rail is more efficient to them, or whether by road is cheaper to them, by rail is cheaper to them or not. But on top of this, I would like to touch a little bit on Dato' Gopal view tadi about road transportation. Yeah, by putting more lorry on the road, we are actually putting more carbon footprint into the road. Yeah, by not being efficient in road transport, we are putting more lorries, more prime movers, and you're creating congestion to the road. Yeah, and you are actually we are actually putting more load into the road, and obviously there will be more maintenance costs to the roads. Yeah, so those are the issues in hand today. Yeah? So we have to be efficient on road haulage, and I think issuing license is one of the things, but you know, getting efficient on the transporter is another part of it, and also the fuel burning. You know, whether we can replace fuel into something else, non-fossil energy, and so on and so forth. But on the other hand, I think rail is as well one of the solution to that. Yeah, taking away the road transportation into rail, of which we are actually reducing the obviously carbon footprint. We are actually reducing the congestion. We are reducing the hazards on the roads, the accident, death, and so on and so forth. And of course, we are trying to reduce also the maintenance to the roads by having less number of vehicles on the road, especially those heavy road user, lorries, and also to reduce or to move away the dangerous goods from going around on the road. And those are the things that, as I said, we have to complement each other. But on top of this, Doctor, and I think the participant needs to know this as well. We are talking about the first mile, last mile. Yeah? In order to do first mile, last mile, it's not only for us to have road haulier in place as our partner, but we have to do more opening up along our track. Yeah, it's just like a station. We need rail siding. Yeah, to make it easier and convenient, accessible for the user to go or to get the containers or the load into our track, and also to pick it up from our track. So on our part, the KTM, we also have to do all those responsibility to actually open up more rail siding along our track. So this will make it easier for for the last mile service provider and first mile service provider to be to work with us as a partner. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dato'. Now, another question to Dato', pertaining to the first mile and also last mile delivery. Okay, you mentioned just now it's about to reduce carbon footprint. Is it how far does the KTMB promote eco-friendly operations pertaining to this reducing carbon footprint to the suppliers, to the customers, even to other stakeholders like the government? What do you think?
Yeah, we have two type of energy sources. One is actually diesel, and number two is electricity, power. So some of the other, these are the two things that we always discuss, and we are trying to reduce it. For the electricity supply or the power supply from TMB here, or we only have one source of electricity supply. When we're talking about carbon footprint, we actually have to go back to the real source of the power. That's very important, whether it's hydro power or diesel power or gas power, things like that. So when we actually calculate the points or the score, we actually have to calculate backwards. So that's very important. So unless we can find a replacement for that power supply, we don't actually reduce the carbon footprint on the energy supply. But on the diesel supply, where we have some locomotive that is powered by diesel, this is something else that we are looking at. We are actually looking into changing that into electric power powered locomotive, one, and number two is to replace that diesel powered engine into something else, probably into power pack and other type of energy. And these are the things that we're looking at. And of course, we were looking into the performance, the maintenance, and so on and so forth. But to answer you, we have not reached the goal or the objective that we are putting forward, but we are working towards that. But other things that we are looking at, but it's on a very small scale. For example, moving by rail is already reducing carbon footprint. This is very obvious already. So we have to do that in big scale, basically to increase our ridership. So every passengers, we have numbers there, in terms of carbon score. So the more people coming and riding our train, basically we are reducing carbon footprint to the public. And number two, there are a few other things. We are now implementing basically online ticketing. We don't have to print papers anymore. So we just use a QR code and scan it at the gate and so on and so forth. And all those things that one of inside our program, digitalization program, how to reduce carbon footprint. But those are in the small scale. We are looking into the big ticket item, which will take some time for us to achieve on that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to hear also view from Captain Raja pertaining to this eco-friendly concept for MISC. What's the status now?
Okay, first let me give you our targets. We want to reduce our GHG emissions by 50% by 2030. This is a declared target that is registered with BOSA. We want to be net zero carbon emission by 2050, which is also in line with what the government says. To do this, we are looking at a few pathways. One of them is to develop a non-carbon burning engine. So we are looking at ammonia as a fuel. Currently, work is going on with industry partners to develop this ammonia engine. We just signed an MOU 2 days ago with the engine manufacturer. I'm sure most of you saw it in the papers. So basically what it says is that we are going to replace our fleet with zero emission vessels. Zero emission vessels in our context means ammonia burning. So that all going well. We are expecting to have our first ship on the water by 2026. So as far as a pathway is concerned, a target is concerned, MISC is pretty much committed to this because this is what we have told the world. 2030, 50% reduction, 2050, net zero. So those are the targets. There are challenges, of course. Funding is going to be a big challenge. Supply of ammonia around the world, something else that the logistic industry, land-based should also look at. Supply points. And in this area, for me, I feel that Malaysia is a bit behind. And I'm being very honest about this. Why Malaysia is a bit behind? Because our neighbors down south have already got LNG bunkering facilities set up on a large scale. Here in Malaysia, we have 2 LNG bunkering points, which is identified by the government, but the supply point for LNG is still not to that extent yet. LNG, the industry says, as fuel. LNG as fuel is an interim solution. Longer term solution for the industry has to be zero carbon. So there are investments, there are challenges, but this is where I believe that the Malaysian supply and logistics industry can actually support seagoing ships in providing this infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you. Last, Datuk Gopal, any view before we end our session?
Well, I think I'm talking just now, Datuk Rani was talking about last mile delivery by rail. And to me, very simple. The customer's expectation is very important. Consumers want what they want and quickly, right? To keep their business companies, they must find new creative to improve the last mile delivery by road or by rail. Okay. Of course, as Dato' Rani explained, rail, they have tracks. They can only go to certain places, not all the places in Malaysia. But road can go to anywhere they like. But of course, when we talk about trucks, congestion and on the road and all that. So therefore, we need to look at centralizing all the logistic data. Okay. And the route optimization, that's important. Route implementing advanced routing and software to optimize deliveries by rail or by road or by sea. Okay. Then third thing is we should look at real-time tracking and communication. Providing customers with real-time tracking information. The rail can give the real-time arrival. Maybe the road also can give. Sometimes due to congestions on the road, traffic congestion, the hauliers may not give the real time, but rail can give the exact time. When I'm taking a train from Klang to Kuala Lumpur, I can see the words there, 7:15 sharp, the train will be there. Okay, but road, we can't be very perfect. Okay, delivery network optimization, that's important. Okay, logistic providers can optimize their delivery networks by strategically locating distribution centers nearer, further, and everything. And technology integration, this is very important. Leveraging the technology solutions such as automation, robotics, and artificial intelligence, very, very important to streamline the various aspects of the business, of the last mile deliveries. Okay, and last, delivery slot optimization. Okay, offering customers flexible delivery time slots. For example, rail, maybe in one slot they can take 60 containers, but road they can only take 1 container or 2 containers together, one go. So these are the delivery slot, very important for the supply chain business. Thank you.
Thank you, Dato' Gopal. So that's basically our last view. Okay, because it's nearly 1 hour. Now I would like to, from the floor, if the audience have questions to ask to our panels, at least 2 questions. So can we have the first question from the floor?
I think, Doctor, there's already a question there by somebody.
Oh, okay.
Asking, is nuclear power reactor the answer to reducing carbon emission?
Okay, yes.
And if you don't mind, I would like to answer that.
Sure, no problem, okay.
Why I'm saying this is because we just had a very interesting discussion with some of my people here, and they asked me, nuclear powered ships. I said, can. In fact, if you ask me, nuclear power is the cleanest and most efficient fuel in the planet. Nobody can dispute that. Simple reason. The problem is, what do you do with the gin in the bottle? And the gin in the bottle here is the spent fuel. What are you going to do with it? That's the only problem that we have, because if you talk about efficiency of fuels, you get the best value for money in terms of nuclear. But we all know the problems in nuclear fuel. It is not the fuel, it is not the energy content that comes out from it, but it is what do you do with the spent fuel? And right now there's no solution. Man hasn't found a solution yet. So until that time comes, we still need to tread very carefully in nuclear fuel. Thank you.
Thank you for the answer. So the second question, only one question, okay? The first is on the wishing. So one last question from the floor, from the participant?
If just done, maybe I can ask one question.
Sure, no problem. Sure.
So, drone technology, and are we utilizing drone technology in Malaysia with regards to distributing goods within from the factories or to the customers? Anybody can answer that?
Yeah,
now we
technology, yes.
okay, now we have 6 questions
Oh, okay.
in the chat. Yeah. So
Let
maybe
me answer, Doctor. Let me answer the question by.
Sure.
Yeah. No, drone obviously is going to be the future mode of distribution. Yeah, but of course, drone has some restriction also and some challenges in itself. Yeah? Because we're talking about policy. We're talking about the act, this and that. Each country has their own policy and so on and so forth. Yeah? But the technology itself, I'm talking about the technology. Obviously, yeah, obviously, drone is going to be one of the mode of transportation or distribution in future, depending on the capacity of the drone, capacity of what you would need to send. Because you wouldn't have people to operate that, except those on the ground. You can link to GPS, you can deliver to wherever you want it to be in. But obviously, there's some aviation restriction on that, and a few other things. So yeah, drone is something that I think all the logistic practitioner is waiting for.
Thank you. So we have here a question from Prof. Sabaria Muhammad. Okay. Has our government invested enough for the logistic industry to prosper and fulfill its role? Anyone on the panel can answer? From Prof. Sabaria Muhammad. Yeah.
That's a trick question. I mean, the lady is asking us to speak on behalf of the government.
Yeah. Could be a general answer.
I leave it to Dato' Rani lah. He's more
Well, I think I can answer this. This is chicken and egg situation. That's very important. We have to look at it from this perspective. Broadly, yeah, doesn't matter how much government has come in to assist the industry and come up with the monetary value or infrastructure and so on and so forth. But if the industry itself doesn't actually call for the user, call for the cargo, the volume, and so on and so forth, thing doesn't work. Yeah? I give you a good example. For example, KLIA. Yeah, we are still behind our friends at the south there, or even now our friend northern side. Why? Because we don't have enough airlines that coming to KLIA. Okay? So what we don't provide actually is the frequency. Yeah. What we don't provide is actually, what we don't have is actually the space, yeah, and the reach, yeah. Whereas if they send the cargo to Singapore, they have all the three, any time of the day. They can provide the space, they can provide the reach, any destination, yeah, and they can provide the frequency, yeah. And on top of that is the infrastructure as well, that any goods, anything that goes to Singapore. They have humidity control warehouse, they have temperature control warehouse, and the ecosystem when it comes to documentation and so on and so forth. They are there already, one single window and so on and so forth. So all this, coming back to the question, is basically it's a chicken and egg situation. The industrial player has to play their role, the government has to play their role, and both has to work together. Yeah, how to make things more efficient, and as what is discussed just now, at the end of the day is to deliver. The customer expectation has to be fulfilled, be it punctuality, be it safety, be it security, yeah, all those things. So I think the industry and the government has to work hand in hand to work together, to make sure that everything is adequate, and at the same time is bring in the customer, bring in the user, bring in the volume. Thank you.
Okay. So we have completed our last question here from Sivashan Jainish. I just read the question. As relating to environmental sustainability, of course, energy source is important. What about the productions of auxiliary products that are used in logistics? Anyone can handle this? Can give an answer? Perhaps Datuk Gopal, more on the operations here.
Which questions you are referring?
After Prof. Sabaria Muhammad, Sivahan Jainish, as relating to environmental sustainability, of course, energy source is important. So it's about energy. So he mentioned that, what about the productions of support products that use in logistics? Any view?
Okay, we are looking at environment-friendly business. Okay, there are several challenges faced by logistics when you talk about environmental sustainability. Okay, logistic and supply chain management face several environmental challenges, including carbon emission, waste management, energy consumption, and water conservation. To promote eco-friendly, as what he has mentioned, number one, we should look at green transportation, using electric vehicles, optimizing delivery routes, investing the renewable energy. And number two, sustainable packaging, reducing packaging waste, implementing recycling programs. Okay, and then closed loop supply chain, implementing closed loop supply chain can help logistics stakeholders reduce waste by reusing materials. Okay, and as I mentioned during my briefing, is the reverse logistics. This is very important. Implementing reverse logistics can help logistics stakeholders reduce waste by facilitating the return and reuse of products. Okay, by adopting all these sustainable practices, logistics stakeholders can reduce the environmental impact, okay, promote eco-friendly operations, and create more sustainable supply chain. I think I've answered the question. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you for the question and answers. So to be wrap up, what I can summarize here based on this webinar, number one is about all the parties in the supply chains, logistics need to work together as a one system. Number two, the importance of sustainability and also a green environment. And number three, okay, is about challenges pertaining to the high customer satisfaction. So with that, I transfer, okay, this event to Commander Shahril for closing remarks. Commander Shahril.
Okay, Dr. Dasmin, thank you. Thank you to panelists, Datuk Rani, Datuk Gopal, and Captain Raja Siga for giving basically the latest insights of the issues currently faced by the industry, with regards to supply chain management. We hope the questions that were posed by the moderator and the answers given by the panelists may satisfy some of our viewers or maybe or the participants with regards to the challenges in industry. I know there are a lot of other questions posed by the participants. We'll see how we can answer the questions and probably send back to the people who have posed the questions. And for this event, I thank you all for providing the relevant answers, and we'll be organizing more of these events for the benefit of the members and our non-members. And on behalf of the president of the Chartered of Logistics and Transport Malaysia, Dato' Muhammad Mahyudin, we are inviting those non-members to become members of the institute, and by having more members and members who are current in the industry, we can try to upgrade or probably to improve the standard of the services provided by the people in the industry, and also getting more students to be involved in the industry, so that we can make the industry more what they call real and be able to get the goods delivered to the customers effectively. So with that, thank you all, to the panelists and to the participants for joining the webinar. We will see you again later in the next coming webinar. Thank you all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and salam sejahtera.
Thank you.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.